some of the history that you have, knowing the game and then knowing some of the players, right? Again, like you played 4 years in the Big Ten, transferred to Richmond. Yeah, you were playing before Caitlin Clark actually got there.
Yeah, so I had a year in the Big Ten before she got there, and then I played 3 years versus her.
Yeah, you actually had one game, I think, in February. You had 18 and she had 32. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. 18 and 7 boards. So you were right there, but you also had a chance to play against J.C. Sheldon, and you knew the ins and outs of the league, the rhythms of it. Describe some of the tension or the rivalry between J.C. Sheldon and Caitlin Clark that may have been bubbling before we saw that fight on Tuesday night, or tussle, whatever you want to call it.
100%. So, well, first of all, both Ohio State and Iowa during their careers were at the top of the league. Like, those were competitive, important games for both of those teams to win, right? Because the Big Ten women's basketball, top tier, like, just so that we send 7 or 8 teams every single year to the tournament. So it's very competitive. Then you add into that JC and Caitlin are the faces of their teams during that point. So they're like the leaders, they're the stars. They have the biggest role on the team. And of course, there's going to be that competitive nature of who's going to win this matchup, who's going to win this battle. And there's the individual matchup, and then there's the team matchup. And how can that not be competitive? I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that it's personal. I think it's just two competitive, really good basketball players fighting to be the best on the court in that moment. And when you're in the same league or conference as someone for so many years straight, you start to learn their game like the back of your hand. It starts to get more and more competitive, and you start to know their tactics. You know what to expect. And then it just keeps building. It's one of the best parts of conference basketball.
So watching the intensity, right, that we saw on Tuesday night, and then ultimately it culminates into something that we see everywhere. And some of the frustration that some fans have is like, players are resentful of Caitlin Clark. And I think that look, two things can be true at once. You can appreciate the impact she's had on the game and still be a little resentful. I was saying here yesterday, I call a lot of games broadcasting, but I'm always a little resentful of the guys who are calling maybe more or bigger games. It's just natural. I don't let it overtake me. And I always end up okay, you channel it, you kind of bring God in and you say well, that's great. This person is maybe lighting the way for me, per se.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get, envious. But do you think that there is some of that resentment that maybe spills over onto the court?
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about this, actually. So first of all, I think there's a difference between being resentful towards Caitlin and being resentful towards her fans. And I think that gets lost in translation a lot. I think a lot of the frustration that comes from WNBA players, and obviously this is my speculation and my guessing, I'm not in the league myself, but it would be towards both the media and the fans, and the way that people react to certain plays, the way that it gets blown up, and then these WNBA players are personally attacked, being sent death threats, being told to die, all of these things because they had a hard foul on Caitlin Clark, or because, whatever it might be. And I'm not saying that some of those hard fouls might have been a little extra, might have looked a little personal. There's definitely instances of that, but I think that the resentment might come from the portrayal of things and the disproportionate way that it's all shown in the media. With that being said, there is also a nature of this that I think is a bit of a double standard with it being women. I think if these are happening in the NBA, it's, that's competitive. They got to welcome the rookie to the league. But it's happening in the WNBA, and it's this is catty, this is personal. They're going after her, they're bullying her. Whatever happened to some good competitive nature when Kobe got to the NBA, there was a lot of welcoming moments for him, right? Michael Jordan wasn't just going to let him waltz in and be the new GOAT. So yes, there are moments where I'm that was a little too much, or that looked a little personal, but that happens in every single league. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts, but I also will say this. Having played against Caitlin, she is such a smart player, and she's smart in her IQ of the game, but she's also smart in the way that she competes. She's very sly in some of the comments she might make, or her little competitive things. I think she does a very good job of knowing how to get under people's skin without everyone else in the arena knowing. And if I had to guess, that would be something that she's still doing right now, which is not a bad thing. That's a good competitor. You know how to work the game to your advantage. So I think that's something that I also would expect to be happening, that builds up little bits of tension.